BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my wrap-up for the last 2 weeks. That includes the 7 in 7 Read-a-thon, the AYearAthon Read-a-thon, the books I took camping with me, and the books that I finished this weekend. For the 7 in 7, it took place on July 31st and completed on August 6th. And then the AYearAthon Read-a-thon started on August 1st and ended on the 7th. So they were overlapping. For the 7 in 7, I read 5 books, and for the AYearAthon Read-a-thon, I read 1. The very first book I want to talk about is, let me show you if you can see that, Insanity. This is the very first book in the Insanity series by Cameron Jace. I do own the physical copy, but my best friend is borrowing it right now because she got all excited after I told her about the synopsis of the story. So basically what the story is about a girl named Alice Pleasance Wonder. She killed all of her classmates and boyfriend on a school bus, and now she is locked up in the Radcliffe Lunatic Asylum, I think, and she's been there for 2 years. Not only is she there, but a professor by the name of Carter Pillar, who used to work at the Oxford University, he is also there for murdering a bunch of people. And they just so happen to meet because Carter wanted to, but they meet and they decide to solve the mystery of the Cheshire Cat murders. And basically the Cheshire Cat is murdering girls of different ages because he can. And he's giving them these very wide grins, and that was very fun to read. And basically there's 7 girls, so 6 is already dead. The 7th one, Alice and Carter are trying to find and rescue, and that is the entire plot of the book. Is they're trying to get to Constance, which is the 7th girl, and they want to rescue her and figure out why the Cheshire Cat is doing what he's doing. Now, with that being said, let's push that aside. In this book, all of the Wonderland monsters are reincarnated into this day and age. I don't remember how many years it's been. Maybe it's been 200. But Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, he closed all of the portals to Wonderland and locked them up, and has like different methods of locking all of these creatures up. And so now they're reincarnated into human form, and they're going about their daily lives. Carter Pillar is the caterpillar, and he's trying to figure out why Cheshire Cat is being the way he is, and he has involved Alice into doing the same. Now, Alice doesn't know she is the Alice. She has no recollection of anything from before her stay in the asylum. That might have to do with all the shock therapy she gets. But yeah, so she's slowly trying to get her memories back. She meets all these other creatures from the Wonderland books, and it's very cool. And I mean, the main cool part of the whole story of this retelling is the fact that there are murderous Wonderland creatures, which I want to read about. And so before this book was even finished, I kind of bought 2 and 3. Now, I do have 2 and 3 on my Kindle, but I needed them in the physical form, and so yeah, I did get them, and I'm super excited. So for the next book that I read Hotel Iris by Yoko Ogawa. Now, I read her short story collection called Revenge last year or the year before, can't remember, but I loved her writing so much I ended up purchasing all of her books that have been translated into English. The translator does an excellent job. His name is Stephen Snyder, and when I picked this up as a buddy read with Maddie from the Maddie Hatter, I will leave her channel link down below, I had absolutely no idea what this book was about. And so going in, I was a little shocked at everything that I read. Basically, this book is about a girl named Mari who works at Hotel Iris. She's the only child, and her mother made her quit school, and she works the counter, you know, like the registration desk or whatever. And one day, there is a disturbance in the hall. A half-naked woman runs down the stairs, and she's screaming profanities at a man who was in whatever room, like 202 or something. And he comes out and he says, "Shut up, whore." the command was so appealing to Marie that she quickly became obsessed with this man. And one day she's running errands for her mom, and she so happens to come upon him and like stalks him throughout the city. And he finally turns around and says, "Why are you following me?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know." And they end up having this very strange relationship. Now, Marie's 17. The old man, you don't find out his age until like almost the very end, but he's like old, like wrinkles and everything. So not sexy whatsoever. But this book is an S&M erotica, Asian porn. I was shocked. Not only is it just, you know, a 17-year-old girl with this extremely disgusting old man, but it's S&M. And the only S&M book that I can compare it to is 50 Shades of Grey, because it's the only other erotica book I've ever read in my life. Now, with the 50 Shades of Grey, Christian Grey is the domineering person in the relationship, and Anastasia Steele, I think that's her name, is the passive, you know, the submissive person in the relationship. But it is consensual. I mean, this is consensual too, but also it's more of power and feeling good, you know, sensual. In this book, it's also about power, but it's about humiliation. Now, I don't know how it is in all of Japan, but I have heard that some Japanese women like to be humiliated. It makes them feel hot and sexy. I don't know why. So in this book, which in 50 Shades of Grey, if that was just absolutely disgusting to you and you couldn't stomach the fact that it's very graphic and detailed and talks about penises all the time, this book is more about bondage. So you don't hear, or it's not told to you, any of that nasty bits. It just talks about the bondage part and about how she likes feeling humiliated. I gave it 3 stars. It was beautifully written, but very, very strange, and not something I could even fathom coming from Yoko Ogawa, which is, I can't really say that because I only read 1 book by her, and so I don't know why I thought all of her books would be, you know, paranormal in nature. This is absolutely not paranormal. But if you like S&M and you like Asian kinds of hot and sexy time and more bondage than the graphic you know, penis talk, then definitely pick this book up. I do have her other books, which is The Diving Pool, so I definitely want to pick that up soon. And then I also have her Professor. She's got another book, The Housekeeper and The Professor. So I have 2 more books that I have to read by her. I can't wait to read and review them for you guys. This one was definitely, I wasn't expecting that at all. All right, and then the last book that I read with the 3, did I mention that? I read the 3 books at the same time from Monday through Friday because I wanted to have them finished before I went on vacation. Anyways, the 3rd book that I read was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. This was absolutely amazing. I gave it 5 stars. It's nonfiction. Caitlin is a, what is it called? A licensed mortician. She's from Hawaii. She grew up on Oahu. She's 2 years younger than me. She's amazing. She spends her time trying to educate people about death and how it's normal and how we shouldn't be afraid of it, and the fact that embalming isn't natural and we don't need it, and being put in these, you know, extravagant coffins and placed underground is not natural and doesn't need to be done. And I completely agree. I was telling my husband that, you know, after reading this book, I was like, oh, you know, I need to have some kind of, I don't want to make a will yet because it seems kind of very creepy, but I did want him to know if I were to pass away, I would like to be cremated and then put in with a new tree, like you know, planted with a new tree to help it grow and be part of its nutrients. I don't know. I thought that was very romantic. I want to do it that way. I would never, ever, 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 gross me out, want to be embalmed with, you know, disgusting chemicals and then be placed in a box and be shoved in the ground. That just freaks me out. So it's just so great. So if you're interested in behind the scenes with cremation and what happens when you die, say from the hospital to the mortuary or what have you, she talks about it all in here. When she first started, she was 23 and she started as a crematory operator. So she took the bodies, you know, made them, prepared them, and then put them into the crematory and, you know, pushed the button and scraped all the ashes and put them in urns and stuff like that. And that was her job for about a year or two. And then she decided that she wanted to be a mortician and learn about embalming, even though she was completely against it. So she went to mortician school, and that was very hard on her because it's all about the sale. Like, death is an extremely aggressive and money-making opportunity. Like, people go into these kinds of things to make money. You can sell up people on the best plots or the best caskets or the best, you know, urns. Like, put me in a box, my ashes in a box, and that's fine. You don't have to have a decorated granite urn, you know, that's $500. Like, it's silly, you know. Once you're dead, you're dead. You don't need to be, you know, decorated. And that's what she's trying to tell her audience, is that death is natural. We don't need to be afraid of it. And when it comes time, don't overthink it. You know what I mean? It's perfectly fine to be able to stay with your family at home when you're dead. You don't have to be embalmed within the first 24 hours. Your body's not going to rot that fast. Your family should be able to mourn you the way they want. There is no law saying that you need to be, you know, taken out of your house immediately and put in a, you know, in a hole in the ground. Like, there is no law for the process of death, and you should be able to mourn the way you want to. And it was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. And she's super funny. She's very, like, down to earth about it all. And I laughed out loud a lot of the times. And it was just so fascinating. And I don't know. I loved it. If you are interested in anything about death, I like that kind of stuff. It's interesting to me. So if you're interested in it as well, pick this book up. All right, the next thing that I read during the 7 in 7 read-a-thon was Mad Max Fury Road. This is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, the movie. I got this tiny little, let me share with you some pictures. This tiny little graphic novel in my Blu-ray. I thought it was amazing. It's got 2 stories in it. One is the prequel story of Mad Max and how he came to be at the Citadel. And then one is about Immortan, how do you say his name? Immortan Joe? I can never say his name right. Anyways, it's a prequel on how he became the big kahuna at the Citadel. What happened at the very beginning, how he turned into what he is now, how he got the Citadel, and everything in between. I absolutely loved it. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed the Immortan Joe story a lot more, probably because it was like 75% of this baby graphic novel. Very interesting. I absolutely love the movie, so having this like special features, extra stuff was very cool. And I loved it. And like I said, the graphics are great. There he is. Immorta. Anyways, yes. So I read that before I left on vacation as well. So during my vacation, we ended up leaving Saturday morning at 2 a.m. And what I read next was a couple of short stories because I couldn't sit through something bigger. All right, I'm sorry. If I try to make it bigger, then it tries to download the book, and I don't want it to download. So this is the lake. If you can see that, focus. Okay, and it is written by Tana Rivdu. This is a short story found in the Monsters Corner, and it's about a woman who is from Ohio, maybe? Anyway, she's from up north. She moves down south to Florida to be a teacher there because she just got divorced from her husband, and it was kind of like a messy divorce, and so she just wants to start her life fresh. And she jumps into the sale of a house. Like, her parents and her friends were like, don't buy the first house you see, but she falls in love with this house, and it's right up next to a lake, and the lake is private. It's like her own lake, and so she really enjoys it. Now, the town folk have this superstition where you're not allowed to swim in the lake during the summer, and definitely never at nighttime. And nobody tells the main character this, and so she just swims in the lake. And something creepy happens, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to give away the story. It's a very short story. I gave it 2.5 stars, not because I hated it, but because it was just too short for me, I guess. It goes from her moving in, and then immediately the weirdness happens from the lake. And it doesn't really go into detail on why she chose to have these high school boys work on her house. Like, that was like my main complaint about the whole story. She had this idea that she was going to have high schoolers come to her house and help fix up the house for little to no money. But she said she's done this before, and I know why she did it down in Florida, but did she do it back in Ohio? Like, I don't understand. Like, is she a pedophile? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know why she has these young guys there. And, I mean, if it's for money reasons, that's fine, but I think she might be checking them out too, and it's never explained in the book, so I was really confused. So there's that. And then I also read, can you see right here, Pure Evil by Jessie Bastide. Now, this one I didn't read during the 7 and 7. This came a little bit later. So basically, before I get into the Pure Evil, because I don't want to confuse myself, I read Insanity, Hotel Iris, Smoke Gets in My Eyes, Mad Max, The Lake. Those 5 books I read during the 7 and 7 and during the AYearAthon Read-a-thon. I did pick up, where is it? I did pick up this green book right here. Where is it? Right here. And that is called 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly. That was my second nonfiction that I was going to read during the AYearAthon Read-a-thon, but I only got 11% in. It's kind of boring, and so I just put it down. But so I did pick up the, let's go back to it, Pure Evil by Jessie Bastide. Now, this one I finished, I believe, on Wednesday last week, and that one is also a short story, and it's about a boy who is kind of chubby. He's 12. He gets picked on a lot because not only is he like the fat kid of the school, of his middle school, but he's also extremely poor, and he wears sweatpants to school. Now, I don't know why that's a big thing. Sweatpants are comfortable, but that's like a big, huge faux pas at the school, and if you wear sweatpants, you're going to get teased. And so one day, 7 kids who usually harass him, one of the 7 throws a rock at the boy's head, and it ends up like splitting his skull open. He's like bleeding all over the place, and he goes into a coma. None of the kids fess up to who threw the rock. None of the kids get in trouble. The school is trying to hush it up, like, oh, we don't want to have bad publicity at the school. And basically, because he's poor and the mom really can't afford a lawyer, like, nothing is done about this situation. And so he finally wakes up from the coma, and when he wakes up, there's something different about him, and he can't understand what it is. And so he ends up talking to his uncle, and he goes, "Hey uncle, you know, I feel like I hear voices, like someone's talking to me." And the uncle goes, "Oh no, I think you might have the family curse." Now the mom knows what this curse is because the dad died from it, and the uncle's wife knows about this curse as well. And so everybody's in the know except for the boy. And come to find out, the curse is like you are able to channel evil entities into you, like you're I don't remember what they're called. A perceiver? I think that's what it is, a perceiver. So because the boy was in a coma and he was vulnerable and he has this ability as a perceiver, a demon comes to him and wants to take over. And so that's basically the book. The boy is trying to fight this demon off. The uncle's trying to fight the demon off as well. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was okay. It wasn't as scary as I thought. I liked Louis the demon the best out of the entire, like, the book. Like, everything about Louis was awesome. He was creepy and badass and evil to the max and just did everything that was naughty. But he was also, like, more of like a vengeance kind of demon. Like, he wanted to do bad things, but he was always like trying to help out the main kid. And so I was like, well, he's kind of good if he's doing this stuff. I don't know. It was okay. I would like to read a longer story by Jesse to get more of a feel of how he writes, because this one was pretty short. All right. And that was everything that I read during my vacation. So I read Pure Evil and I read The Lake. I started, what is it? May Queen Murders. Here's a picture because I can't find it on my Kindle. I was supposed to read A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Trelawney? Anyways, I was supposed to read that one, but apparently I never downloaded it from Amazon onto my Kindle. It was just sitting there, and so I couldn't do it in the woods because we had no internet access. And so I ended up having to read the May Queen Murders instead. I got that book from NetGalley, for a free, review or whatever. And I only got 3% in. So far, it's okay. Nothing extravagant has happened yet, so I can't really say much about it. But that's all that I read because I was mostly hiking all the time, and I was only reading during the part where my husband was like making the fire. Yeah, and so what did I read this weekend? I picked up 2 mangas this weekend. So the first one I read was Monster. Oh, this is the front. Monster by Naoki Urasawa, if that's how you pronounce his name. I absolutely loved this. And normally when I pick up horror, like mangas, they're usually extremely weird, not scary whatsoever, because our cultures are different and they're more of like a paranormal, ghostly kind of culture. And so none of that really scares me, where I'm like afraid of like aliens and demon possession. But this is about a man who moves from Japan to Germany. His name is Kenzo Tenma. And his father is the owner of a hospital in Japan, and he's got like 3 other brothers who are also doctors. And so he wanted to break free from them and start his own journey in the medical field and like write research papers and stuff like that. So he moves to Germany, and he's a neurosurgeon, and he's an amazing neurosurgeon, but he doesn't realize the director of the hospital that he works for is just about the money and not about the care of the patients. And so come to find out, the director is an evil man, and his daughter, which is Kenzo's fiance, is also an evil person. And she says that human lives aren't created equal, and that we are in this business for the research, not for saving lives. And Kenzo's like freaking out because that's completely against everything that he wants to do with his life. And one day a kid comes in with a headshot wound, and he is prepping to do the surgery for this gunshot victim, and he gets a page from the director saying that he wants him to leave the surgery that he's supposed to be doing now and to save the mayor's life, because the mayor is about to give the hospital a whole bunch of money. Kenzo's like, you know what? No, I'm going to save this little kid's life. You guys are crazy. He came in first. He's first priority. And because he didn't help in the other surgery, the mayor dies, and the director's really upset and basically says that your career in the medical field is over. And his fiance, which is the daughter of the director, gives him his ring back because, you know, she was in it for the money, not for love or anything like that. And so Kenzo has a dilemma to make. Does he want to stay at this hospital and continue working under this, you know, terrible man? Or does he want to go back to Japan and, you know, start fresh again? He decides to stay because he wants to stay with the patient, the little boy that he took care of. And that's when the weirdness happens. Like, lots of people start dying. And then 9 years later, you find out who the killer is. And you're like, what? Like, it's a hospital drama at the beginning. Almost like a General Hospital kind of thing. And then it's a crime mystery at the end, which is very cool. It talks about, this is in 1985, so it talks about the Berlin Wall and the Berlin Wall falling, and I don't know how that has anything to do with the storyline, but it's like just background noise to me. It is cool though, and I gave this one 4 stars. I am definitely looking forward to reading more about it in volumes 2 and whatever. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then the very last book that I read was Afro Samurai, and this is by Takashi Okazaki. I was really excited because when I looked this up on Goodreads, there's only 2 volumes for this manga, and I have both of them, so yay! Basically, this is about a black man named the Afro Samurai who is in Japan, I guess, but this is like a modern Japan. Even though everyone dresses like it's like ancient Japan, there are cell phones. So I'm confused on the actual timeline of this story. Okay, so Afro Samurai. His name, he changed his name in the book to number 2. So number 2 sees his father get murdered when he's a little boy. And he takes his father's essence into him, and he takes his headband, and for some reason this headband is magical and it gives him like extra strength, and he's like the second strongest warrior samurai man in the world. And the whole point of the story is for him to seek revenge on number 1, the man who killed his father. So he goes through the story trying to get to this man, and along the way he just kills everybody. People who are innocent bystanders and gang members and thugs alike. He has no moral compass. He doesn't care who he kills along the way, as long as he reaches his goal, which is the main guy who killed his father at the beginning of the story. My husband said that if you are to watch this anime, that the first season, I guess, is the best. The second season is kind of sad, so don't continue watching it after that. But he told me to read both volumes of the book, so who knows? He really enjoyed it. I gave this 3 stars. It was okay. The thing that I didn't like about the story, or just this manga graphic novel, is everything is so stinking dark. Like, I'm sure that's the point, but I can't like distinguish, where is it? The afro sometimes. I can't distinguish what the heck's going on. And it's just really, really dark. Like, all of the illustrations, like the panels are just too dark for me to see sometimes, so that was kind of annoying. And that is it. That's everything that I read in the last 2 weeks. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, and you guys got something out of it. And yeah, let me know down below what you have read in the last 2 weeks. If you guys participated in the 7 in 7 or the AYearAthon, what did you read? And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!